Why is my voice quiet? That doesn't make any sense. Fix it. Great. Great. That's great. That's fantastic. You know, Blunty, how we were like, well, let's just fix the audio before the... How? Nothing's changed in OBS.
I specifically said don't fix it.
Yeah,
okay.
no, I know you did. What the fuck? Okay, hold on. Okay. What the fuck? What changed? Nothing changed.
Just go turn the setting back on.
Audio enhancements off. How about that? Is that better? That's not better. Oh, hang on. What?
You did it on the in. You did it on the in, not the out.
Oh, we'll turn the out off too. Sound in. Input.
I'm saying turn it on.
Correct. Test mode.
But it's currently in use, so it may not let you actually do anything.
Check, check. There. Now it's fixed. What the fuck? What even is it? What device effects are there?
Because
what effects?
It's just saying it's running through some EQ or leveler that's happening through the device software.
Oh, I know what it is. Oh, I know what it is. Yes. It's this. Oh, okay.
All right, we don't need to fix anything right now.
Okay,
right?
yeah, okay, interesting. I didn't know that counted as an audio enhancement. Got it. Okay. Is it all good now? Is it fixed? It's fixed. Great, we'll leave that on. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Yeah, we're welcome to the live stream. I was just working on a headshot. What do you think? You think that's a good headshot? I don't know why it's duplicated like that. Let me try if I minimize and bring it back up again. No, that didn't work. Yeah, it makes me look like I have a strong chin and a masculine forehead. I felt like that's a decent headshot. That's probably what I'm going to go with because I've been outside. That is not AI enhanced. Thank you very much. You look creepy. Shut up. Shut up. That's the best I could come up with. You should have seen some of the other options. Okay. Let's see. How about that one? You like that one? I don't know what was going on. I think I was just concentrating on the screen. I didn't mean to take that picture. How about that? Hey, I got a little smirk. I was just trying different expressions. Yeah. Hey there. Hey, what's up? This is the most neutral, but I don't like this straight on. I just don't like the straight on. Should I go with this one? Mwah. And then, let's see. A little shrug. I don't know what. How about that? Is that better? Is that a better one? That might be better than this. I don't know. I kind of like it. Yeah. Anyway, I was trying to take headshots. What's this for again? Funny that you asked that. Okay, hold on. Go face. Yo, how about this headshot? Yeah. I thought maybe I should just take the headshot right here. Should we do the headshot right now? I'd have to take the headphones off. I don't want to do that. I thought maybe I should take the headshot just right here at my normal screen. But my channel's profile pic is better. It's the problem is that's a very old picture. That's a very old picture. And so I don't know if I want to update it. I don't want to use like such an I like look away from the camera and laugh. No, I'm being dumb. I got I'm smiling too hard in the first one. Yeah, all right. If you need a fucking yeah. I don't have a lot of details to give out. I will have more details soon. But Blunty, do you remember we talked about the DARPA Heavy Lift Challenge? Where the challenge is to lift. See, this is part of the reason I have to get all the details right. But I don't have all the details in my head right now. But you have to lift, 100 pounds with a drone that weighs less than 55 pounds, and it has to fly 5 kilometers or 5 miles, 5 something. See, I should know all this stuff. The DARPA Heavy Lift Challenge basically challenges drone builders to make a drone that can lift more weight with less weight. It's like a 4-to-1 thrust to weight ratio, and fly for a long time. Basically, it's basically when you first hear about it, you're like, this is impossible. And then a whole bunch of smart people, then DARPA puts up $3 million or whatever, and a whole bunch of smart people come out of the woodwork, and they basically try to do the impossible. Blunty's got it here. To compete, designs must weigh no more than 55 pounds. So the drone has to weigh no more than 55 pounds, including battery or fuel, and has to lift a minimum payload of 110 pounds across a 5 nautical mile course. So, here's the thing. Somebody reached out to me. They're doing a live stream. They're going to do a live stream for the competition. And they said, we need a nerdy technical guy to, like, say smart things about drones for the live stream. Guess who it's going to be? It's going to be me. I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I don't have any more information because that all just I just like finalized all that last week. And then they were like, cool, we're going to get you on a phone with a couple of people and we'll talk about like how, because obviously, promoting it is part of why they're bringing me on. So I don't want to like get ahead of it and say more than they would like me to say until they're ready for me to say it. So, but yeah, I'm super psyched. I'm going to go out there. It's in Dayton, Ohio. It's at the Museum of the Air Force where that whoop race is held every year. I'm pretty sure it's the same place. And I also am really hoping, and I've talked to them about this, and I think they're on the same page, but remains to be seen. I'm really hoping I'll be able to get some content for my channel to give you guys a little bit of the behind the scenes. I don't know how much actual filming I'll be able to do because I'm going to be working. But like, at the very least, I would like to just do a little like voice, like show clips from the live stream and then talk about what behind the scenes stuff. And but like I would also love to be able to shoot like actual content, but I may be just like working, so I may not be able to do that. Anyway, so there you go. Sex offenders in your area, says Mupshot. Is this? I think I like that expression. I'm sorry. I asked both my mom and my wife, and they said that is a very handsome man. So maybe I should ask my 15-year-old son. He'll give it to me straight. Hey, one more thing. Is this chromatic aberration or just fringing? What's going on there? That's blue. That's green light from the outside is green because there's trees and foliage. Is that if it was chromatic aberration, we would have purple and green fringing. I think that's just green light from the outside coming around, fringing my face. Isn't that interesting? Is that all over the whole side of my face? I think that it is, but not here. I wonder if I can fix that. And not here. Just, what causes that? Is it just fringing? I don't know. I got to think about that. Anyway. A green screen confirmed. Bardwell is not actually. Okay. Let's, hey, welcome back to the live stream. It's good to be back. And I'm happy to tell you guys, I will be back for several months with no travel. I'm so excited. I'm not going to pull my whole calendar up here on... Please don't pull my whole calendar up here on stream. But I'm looking at my calendar. The next travel that I have potentially is the beginning of September. Which August, That's like okay. That's like 6 weeks. Except the DARPA Heavy Lift Challenge is the beginning of August. So whoops, I was gonna have like 6 whole weeks of no travel, and now, haha, how could I say no to the DARPA Heavy Lift Challenge though? But I'm psyched. Let's take questions. Let's start with hey. Oh, and I got the bingo board up. If you guys want to make you can make your own bingo board. Blunty has put pinned. Did you pin the comment? Did you just post it? You can make your own bingo board. It's pinned in the Discord for sure. And have we got any bingo yet?
With my permissions, I can't pin in the YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know.
Pin in, can I do something to make you a? You really should. You're a managing moderator. Huh.
Apparently, only you have.
I can pin the message. I'm surprised you can't do that as a managing moderator. I've pinned it. So you can make your own bingo board. And let's just make sure. Bardwell travel story? I don't think so. I'm not gonna travel. It's not. Is that a travel story? I don't think that's a travel story. Okay. Not gonna be drinking an adult beverage. Sorry, we're not getting that one. Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye out for those as we go. Hey, thanks for $5 from Exiled FPV for proving me wrong again. I don't know what I proved you wrong, Exiled FPV, but I do like being right. And if being right means I proved you wrong, well, that's the price of success. Oh my God. Can you make your own drone simulator, please? No. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? What value would I possibly offer by making my own drone simulator? It would just be a shitty vibe-coded example of something that others have done much, much better. Not interested. Do you know what I would like to make, though? I think it would be really cool. You know how they have those video games where you can, like, build a computer? It's like little 3D models of all the parts, and you learn how to build a computer by putting it all together. And I don't know. I thought it would be fun to make a version of that where you build a drone, and you could like learn how to put a drone together. I had that idea recently. I'm not going to do it, but it would be fun if I did do it. Thank you for 249 euros. Thanks, JBM Blunty, for everything. We're just going to get some super chats out of the way, and then we'll get to the questions. What's your take on creators gaining clout on Instagram via cringe reels or thirst traps instead of good flying skills? All the best, JB. Thank you for £5 from Dana and FPV. So when you say cringe, like there's this. I saw these clips on TikTok recently, or maybe it was Face. I don't know where it was. It's a young man, and he is riding a bicycle on a crowded city street or boardwalk, a sidewalk, a place where people are walking. And he's doing a wheelie. He's very good at doing a wheelie. He can just ride this wheelie forever. And as he rides the wheelie in and around the people, he kind of like dives at the people and then skews the other direction so people are, and someone's following him, or maybe he's got a 360 cam. I'm not sure. And people are constantly thinking that they're about to be run into by this guy doing a wheelie, and then he dives out of the way, and and it's terrible. It's terrible, right? That's not good content, and it's not okay to involve people in your shenanigans in that way, especially in a way that makes them think that or maybe legitimately puts them in danger. It's terrible. And thankfully, I saw a clip where a guy body checks this little punk and knocks him to the ground. And I don't advocate for violence against, but yeah, no, TikTokers who do dumb prank shit and I advocate for violence against them. The kid falls down and then he gets up and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm 16. And he's like, the guy's like, doesn't do any more violence to him, thankfully. But yeah, no, I'm not okay with it. And so like, if someone was doing shenanigans like that with a drone, I'd be actively against it. Things like there's a gray area where you're annoying someone with a tiny whoop. I think that's a gray area. because you're not putting anyone in any actual danger. You're just being annoying. And so I feel like that's right on the line where sometimes it seems like it's all in good fun. I've seen a video of Zorro FPV gorilla whooping, and he flew inside of like a grocery store and he was flying around. All the people involved seemed to have a sense of humor about it, and it was just seemed like good fun. I've seen videos where people do that same thing with like a 5-inch drone, and I'm like, no, no, that's not okay. These people don't know what danger they're actually in, and you're putting them in danger, and it's just not okay. But cringe content, like I feel like cringe content and thirst traps, like that's just what gets popular on the internet to some degree, and so that's going to happen in FPV like it happens everywhere else, and you watch it or don't watch it. I started doing a thing where whenever Facebook would show me there's a dude on Facebook. He's this black guy, he's this buff black guy, and he goes to restaurants and he eats their food and he does this little dance. You know who he is. He says shark bite, and he takes a big bite, a big bite out of the food. And he goes, "That's good." And I realized that I was actively becoming dumber by watching this. And I admit that I was like, it was entertaining, like, because I don't know, because it is. And I like food content. So he would go and he'd get this big plates of food, and I'll be like, yeah, I could eat that. But I realized it was making me dumber, and I didn't want to see any more of it. And so I just blocked it. I just blocked his whole page. And every time Facebook shows me, every time I see a reel I'm just like, I don't want that in my algorithm. I just go and I block the page. And it's improved my Facebook algorithm to some degree. So you can shape your algorithm. You can aggressively prune your algorithm, and to some degree it works. If there's content you don't want to see, like cringe content or thirst traps or whatever, yeah. I will say, like, I find it a little hard to come out too strongly against people who are just trying to get content. And like cringe content, I look at it and like, that's dumb. And thirst traps, I'm like, I'm less annoyed or less upset about thirst traps because, like, I don't know, lots of dudes like to look at pretty women. And some pretty women like to put pictures of themselves up on the internet for dudes to look at. And there's nothing inherently wrong with those two things happening. There's a lot of sort of, you could come up with a lot of commentary about the role of sexism and misogyny and women being objectified. There are things that you could talk about that are way outside of like my wheelhouse and the topic of this live stream. But like, I think about Lexi Jansen. Lexi, great pilot, smart person, great content creator. She also, I wouldn't call what she posted thirst traps per se. I don't know if she would. But she definitely posted like stylish pictures of herself, you know, looking attractive. And used that to try and gain her follower. I think that's fair to say. And so, like, if you're a woman who's in FPV and you want to post sexy pictures of yourself doing drone shit, more power to you, you know? I'm not gonna like come out against that on principle. I saw a video or an Instagram post recently. It was from Meps King, and it was a scantily clad woman with her boobs hanging out doing something with a drone. And I thought, to me, it read not as she, and I don't know who this woman was. Maybe she is an FPV pilot. But it read more as Meps King hired a big boobed woman to hang her boobs out in front of their product. And then and I was like, that's less, I'm like, yeah, that's just, like, at least it's different for me if it is a female FPV pilot who chooses to post thirst traps or whatever you want to call it as a part of growing her following and is also an FPV pilot. Versus it's just I hired a model with big boobs to promote my product. Like, to me, it's like, meh. I mean, I also understand that's just how the world works, so go for it. But I, and there's something to be said for the fact that FPV has become mainstream enough that now there are FPV thirst traps. So good for you.
Can I?
Yeah,
I would
Bunty.
like to take a different take on this. I think your
Sure.
question is a bad question. The question is, what's your take on creators gaining clout on IG via cringe reels or thirst traps instead of good flying skills? Now, here's the problem. You're assuming that anybody is going to watch you fly. This is the problem I have with freestyle FPV pilots, racer, like people in this hobby. You're not losing any views because somebody's posting a thirst trap or cringe reel. Nobody's watching you fly anyway. That's
Right.
the problem.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You're not like these have no effect on you. They mean nothing.
Correct.
All they
They're not-
happen to mean is
Yeah.
that maybe somebody knows what a drone is that didn't know what a drone is because they saw it. But it has no bearing on nobody's watching your shitty freestyle. Sorry, that's just the truth. And I think more people in the hobby need to hear that because they try all this stuff on social media and they get mad at all these people that are getting more views of them. And it's like you have to understand there's a target audience. There's people who want to see things and there's a reason they're watching the lady with boobs. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not because they missed your flying video, right? It's because that's what they wanted to see.
Right.
I think that's what you should understand about.
The key takeaway. That's a very good point. The key takeaway is that there is a very small audience for flying videos, and or there is a glut of there is an oversupply of flying videos, and only the most remarkable flying videos actually get views. The reason your flying video doesn't get views is probably that even if you are a much better than average pilot, you have to be like a 1% pilot for people to pay attention to you, because there's only so much flying videos that people want to watch, and only the really exceptional ones get views. And I say that for myself. I don't want to see even a better than average flying video. I want to see like a mind-bogglingly good flying video, and there's just not that much of it. And also, as you said, Blunty, if I go to Instagram and I watch some FPV thirst traps, that's not taking away from my desire to watch flying videos. Those are separate sort of buckets of dopamine, if you will. Yeah. But the reason your flying videos aren't popular is because, well, probably your flying is mediocre. That's not a slam. It's just like my flying is. You notice I don't post a lot of flight videos. My flying is relatively mediocre, and I've come to the conclusion that most people don't want to see it. I don't take that personally. It's just how it is.
Also, just to be clear, I'm saying that there's a given amount of people who want to see a thing. If there's a bunch of flight videos and a bunch of them are better than you are, there's no reason yours are going to move up. You're not doing anything individual or special or better or different or think that they're. But people like to look at a bunch of different thirst traps. There's also a bunch of those, but you understand there's a different bucket. There's a different group amount of people. You can't equate the two. That's all. They're different.
And
scales.
by the way, keep posting your mediocre flight videos. Okay, 100%. If you, there was a time when I was so excited to post my mediocre flight videos, and I was happy to do it, and I'm happy that they got some views. They got views because people know me as a different kind of creator, and so they're more likely to watch my mediocre, shitty content. And they got views because 6 years ago, when I was posting mediocre flight videos, the bar was lower, and so relatively speaking, my videos were more desirable. But mostly, I posted them because I was just excited to make them. That is so important to preserve. If you're excited to fly and you're excited to record videos and you're excited to post them, you should do that. Number one, because that's just a rewarding experience in and of itself. And, life is short. We should get rewarding experiences. You're not hurting anybody. Do it. Don't squash that joy. And number two, because if you are ever going to be a great pilot who posts flight videos, you have to go through the period of being a mediocre pilot, and if you just quit and stop having fun, you'll never be great. But don't get mad when no one watches them. Just understand that you're posting them because you enjoy making them, and probably no one's going to watch them. All right. Good question. JB, where'd you get the blue cabinet with drawers? That is from Rousseau. Rousseau was my. Those cabinets were my. You know, some creators they get a little bit of money and they buy a Ferrari. Some creators they get a little bit of money and they buy, like, you know, they upgrade their camera setup or they upgrade their studio. Well, I think this was around the time of the pandemic, and I had a decent, you know, whatever, quarter month. I had a little bit of money burning a hole in my pocket, and I spent that money on these cabinets, which were not cheap. I had been in a shop. I had been in a shop, and they had these cabinets, and I was like, these are the nicest cabinets I've ever seen. And so I bought some for myself. I think in total, there's one off camera that you can't see. There's another one off camera that you can't see. In total, there's two cabinets behind me and one over there, and in total, I think I spent around $5,000 on them. And I to this day, I've considered that money well spent. I have so much joy from these cabinets. The ability to change the layout, you know, move all the dividers exactly how you want it, organize your shit, just the tactile experience of opening. It's so good, and I highly recommend it. But they are very expensive. Like, you can't see this. You can do whatever you want. You can have, the drawers can be any height you want. Like, you can buy pre-configured ones, but like, you can lay it out any way you want. It's so good. Stationary cabinet. Select your dimensions. Select your depth, right? Width, whatever width you want. Layout, multi-drawer. Base. 2-inch forklift. Yeah, that makes sense. Leveling glides. Oh, leveling glides. I don't think I have those. Neat. They've added that. Drawers. Yeah. So, like, what do you want? You want a 5-inch drawer? A 6-inch drawer? A 4-inch drawer? And a 3-inch drawer? Great. You name it. You could just any way you want. It's fantastic. Anyway. Okay, let's take some more questions. What do you think will be the biggest innovation in FPV over the next 10 years? Hardware, software, regulations, or something else? I think we're seeing some innovation in battery tech. Silicone anode batteries are big innovation in energy density. And tabless lithium-ion cells, big innovation. I feel like FPV benefits when there is external pressure on the technologies that we use. And so if you ask somebody to make a great FPV wireless control link or wireless video link, the things we want as FPV pilots are so specific to us that oftentimes we don't get as much R&D as we would like. But if you look at battery tech, there's incentives to improve battery tech from EVs and from all kinds of places. And we benefit from cell phones, like silicon anode batteries, I believe, were developed, I don't know, exclusively, but they're very, very good in cell phones, where higher energy density is very desirable. And so then, silicon anode batteries, turns out they work really well in drones, too. So I think that battery tech is likely to see some jumps in the next 10 years. I don't know about biggest. And then in terms of like cultural moves, I think we're definitely in the middle of a cultural move where like the first generation of FPV. So you could say that like the 0th generation of FPV pilots was a time when every single thing in FPV was adapted from somewhere else. So, like, the very first flight controller, is it the first? That's an argument you could always get into. But, like, I think Multi-Wii has a good argument for being the very first flight controller. And, hang on. Like, where can I find the very, very earliest Multi-Wii? Like, where they pulled the gyros out of a Nintendo nunchuck. No. I'm just trying to find some graphics to put up for you guys to enjoy. The Nintendo Wii was important in the development of drones because it was a mass-produced peripheral that had an accelerometer and gyro chip in it. The Nintendo Wii Nunchuck was the first really widely mass-produced, mass-distributed motion controller. And what I would call the first drone, the first open hobby drone, well, like first in some sense, flight controller was made by combining an Arduino microcontroller, and they would pull the IMU out of the Wii Nunchuck, and they use that. Okay.
The Motion Plus, right?
The Motion Plus. Was it not the Nunchuck? I didn't know that.
I think it's the Motion Plus.
Well,
I think that's why.
That is what he has on screen right now. So I guess I don't even know what the Motion Plus is. I thought it was the Nunchuck. Isn't it?
Yeah, the Motion Plus was a shipped-on add-on for the Wii that you snap on the bottom and gave it better precision. So I think the reason is it's basically a little IMU in a box.
Oh, neat! I didn't know that. I learned that today.
It's also very possible they did the Nunchuck before the Motion Plus, but I wasn't around then.
Yeah. And so my point is this. The 0th generation of FPV was when we had to make everything from something else. We used car backup. I say we. I wasn't in it then. Car backup cameras as FPV cameras, right? Nintendo Wii, Nunchuck, Motion Plus as our IMU, Arduino. You know, we jury-rigged it all. And then you could say that the first generation of FPV was when shit started getting made just for FPV pilots. But it was all very, very rudimentary, right? And then it started to get better and better and better. You could find a dividing line for like a second generation where things got, more mainstream and more refined. I don't know where you would actually draw that line. It's very gradual. Like people started to make flight controllers, right? But it was still very much RC plane focused stuff being adapted. And then it got more and more, specialized. Maybe you could say that the spinning off of Betaflight as its own thing was a good dividing line. I'm not sure where you would draw that dividing line. Certainly sometime around the pandemic was a big uptick in the mainstreaming of FPV. But my point is this. Developments in the next decade. There's definitely a cultural shift that's happening now, which is the focus on the military application of drones, right? And there's no doubt that is a major shift culturally. It is a major shift in the attention of people in the FPV industry and the FPV hobby. Many companies that manufacture drone parts are now focused on manufacturing drone parts for the military's needs, not for the hobbyist's needs. And many hobbyists are focused on working for companies, like Neros comes to mind. Neros was started by FPV hobbyists and private equity, venture capital, whatever. But FPV hobbyists are majorly involved. And I'm aware of a whole bunch of FPV hobbyists who got hired by them and now work for them. That is what it is. But the point is that is a major shift that is happening and will continue to happen over the next 10 years. And sort of culturally, that is definitely going to shape the FPV hobby, if only because many of the resources that would have been focused on hobbyists will now be focused in a different direction. On the flip side, the amount of resources is massively larger now. So, like, if the hobby gets the crumbs, is it more than we would have gotten? I don't know. That's a difficult conversation to have.
My suggestion would be that I bet we will get some sort of hardware. The Richwave chip for analog has been the same chip since September 2007. That chip is now 15 to 20 times the price as it normally is because they've been getting destroyed and they've been bought up like crazy.
Yep.
It would not shock me to see a Richwave competitor, somebody do some kind of analog chip like this as a competitor that's like actually good. Unless there's some solution for a Richwave supply, right? Because I think it's a huge gap. Like you had a $2 product that went to $35 now. Like that, there's a large margin for people to move in,
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, but those kind of things like IMUs right now are also skyrocketing in price, right? Like, it wouldn't surprise me to see, some more advancement in these kind of things, right? We already have multiple companies that make gyros, but in 10 years, I'm sure we'll be on some kind of different gyro, possibly some kind of different analog chip, possibly some digital solution that some company has because digital over the air becomes easier to do in an open source way, right? There's all these different things that I think are very possible in the next 10 years.
That's interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. The Richwave chip has gone up massively, and has it's in every analog video transmitter has that chip.
Yeah.
So
there's a rumor. There's not a rumor, but there's HD Zero's teasing that they're making a VTX with special features. And nobody knows if that means that just a normal VTX, but it's got special features, or because they just literally complained about a 15x price on the Richwave chip, if Carl's working some magic and they're going to have some solution that doesn't require Richwave
if
chip.
anybody could do that, I feel like HD Zero and Carl could do it.
I agree.
And that would be pretty exciting.
That's why I make that statement, is because I think it is absolutely possible that Carl can make something like that.
And it would be so damn ironic if HD Zero suddenly becomes the premier source for analog video transmitters.
Well, yeah, the reason is because I know Carl's a smart guy, and I know if he can handle it and there's a gap in the market, that he's like one of the candidates to do it, right?
Yeah.
But it could completely just be Richwave chips, and they're just teasing that they've got a bunch of new features on a VTX which make it worth purchasing for a higher price that they have to charge because of the chip price, right? But I'm just saying that that would be really cool, and I expect some solution for that in the next couple of years, unless Richwave ramps up production and suddenly we're flooded with chips at $2 again. Who knows?
Well, if demand goes up, then price goes up. And even if supply rises to meet it, it doesn't seem like the price will go back down to where it was. If Richwave sees their chips go from $2 to $35 and triples production, the chips will go down, to $17, right? They're not going to go down to $2. It's not going to happen. Prices tends to go up and then not come down. Hey, speaking of major developments, we talked about this ADRC-based Betaflight control loop. It's not a PID loop. It's a different kind of control loop. And this guy, I assume it was this guy, although I'm not sure. Maybe two people are working on this independently or together. But someone put an ADRC controller into Betaflight. And ADRC, versus PID tuning, ADRC is good at when the drone changes in flight. So, for example, carrying unstable shifting payloads and hanging weights. Right? It can adapt to that better. Smoothly flying with propeller blades broken off, or even keeping lighter drones stable in harsh winds. Okay. The point being, ADRC is good at some things and interesting. And people immediately, they hear a new buzzword. I've had too many people They're like, hey, Bardwell, what are you going to test ADRC? Here's the thing. It flies like shit currently. Currently, it flies like shit. It hovers kind of okay, and then immediately when you push it, it just flies like shit. It's not even known yet whether this will be a good idea. Currently, it is not a good idea. So, when will I be testing it? No answer. Maybe never. When ADRC seems like it is better or as good as PID control some of the time, and when it is accessible to people, because if you test something and then no one can use it, it's like just a curiosity, that's the kind of time when I might think about testing. However, if you want to test it, you can test it right now. Because Betaflight lets you there's an official pull request, an official repo to put ADRC into Betaflight. And it's very easy in Betaflight Configurator for you. What have I done? I've broken things. It's very easy for you to, I just want to see this. Oh my God. It's very easy for you to include a pull request in Betaflight. This is so annoying. Can I just download it? I'll just download it. Fine, I'll just download it. Just, fuck you. Oh my God. Just go away. Go away. Download. God damn it. Download. There we go. There we go. Hallelujah. You can use an actual freaking app. You can, in the firmware flashing, you just put in PR number 15400, and then you just compile Betaflight and flash it, and you'll have the ADRC controller. Is this a bad idea? I don't know. It's untested code. It flies like shit. You should be aware that you're a tester. You're very... But if you want to, go for it. So, if you want more information about that, you can find it here. github.com/danusha2345/ADRC-Betaflight is the repo. And there's information about this project. All right. So. Anyway, I want to put the word out about that, because if this ever is going to be good, I need people to test it. And now maybe you'll have that. Can we get a quick explanation of ADRC? It's like a PID controller, except instead of focusing on PID and error, there are different parameters and a different algorithm to try to calculate and reduce error. And the takeaway is that ADRC is better than PID when there are dynamic elements to the control, to the system, like a hanging load that swings. It's better at responding to that. Yeah. All right. Hey, Blunty, I didn't click a question. Oh no, Blunty! Oh no, I'm not running the script. You're screwed. I'm so sorry. Should I start the script now? At least it'll be running for the rest of the live stream? Or is it just too late? What do you want me to do?
It's up to you. I don't. Yeah. Don't do it now, because it's gonna be harder for me to figure out the timing.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't do it. That sucks. That's gonna make extra work for you. Just have Claude go through the video and look on screen for it. Can Claude ingest video? I don't think it can. That'd be silly.
Oh, no, none of the models really ingest video because it's like so many frames of image that you have to process.
Yeah, it's too much.
They do it through like transcripts, and I think Google does some kind of thing where they try to summarize videos somehow or like pull random frames or something. I'm not sure.
It seems like there would be a way to go through the video and find the timestamps where new question pops up on screen. I don't know. Anyway. Right, continue. Sorry about that, man. I am just getting my Air 75 Freestyle today. What's the first thing I should do? Asks Monkey Man. Bind it to your controller. Set up your aux. Check your channel mapping is correct and your sticks move correctly, and then set up the aux modes and the OSD. That's what I would do on any bind and fly. That's it. Flugbeg, this is not the place. Not the place for that comment. That is a very important issue. That's a very important issue for some people to decide how they feel about and discuss, but not in my comments. Okay? Just not the place for it. Sorry. We're not gonna solve that issue on this live stream, and we're not gonna try. So I'm removing your comment. I want to, instead of silently removing it, I want you to know why I removed it. And that my removing your comment is not a statement of support or agreement or disagreement with your position. It's just like, hey, maybe let's just have a nice dinner and talk about that somewhere else. Well, there you go. Jasper Andre, thank you for 20 Danish kroner. FPV cam, DVR, battery, can it work on its own? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely can. That's all. It'll absolutely work on its own. They don't need a video transmitter. They don't care. Here's a question from Benjamin Picard. Drones are getting totally banned here in Israel. It also might get to the U.S. too. What can we do about it? What do you think? I don't know what you can do about it because I have no idea what kind of political situation exists in your country. And more fundamentally, if there is a political pressure to ban drones, I think that's very difficult to fight. Because once you sort of reach that inflection point where there's, politicians are talking about banning drones, it feels like probably by the time politicians start complaining about something, there's a little bit caste. Politicians tend not to be very radical in the things that they espouse. They tend to espouse things that they think they'll have public support for. And so, I don't know. It has to be done within the context of your local political advocacy, and I have no idea what that's like for you. If you asked me how to, improve drone rights here in the United States, I would say lobbying. I would say you need lobbyists, and to do that, you need money. And if you don't have a huge amount of money, then the people who do have a huge amount of money are probably going to win. So you can have all the advocacy you want. You can have all the, people, ringing phones and knocking on doors, and that has an effect. But it has the effect of, instead of banning all drones, they ban all drones over, 0.55 pounds. Oh, okay. Or whatever. Like, knock on wood. I just made that up. Yeah. Thank you, Sergio Mendoza, for a $2 super chat. Hey, JB, says Squiddy. I want to switch to digital, and I already have the goggles Integra, but I don't know what direction to go. What direction to go in terms of if you have the Integra goggles, buy a DJI 04, right? That's obviously the direction to go, right? You already have the goggles. Time to get the air units. Man, I'm not getting any bingo today. I didn't wheel my chair to the cabinet. I almost went over there to show you guys my drawers, but I did not. We did talk about the cabinets. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, bingo. There we go. I got one. I don't usually manipulate, but I talked. People asked about the cabinets. That's pretty rare. That's pretty rare. Yeah. I haven't done any yard work because I've been out of town. There you go. It is what it is. Sometimes it's not for you. Sometimes you're not going to win at bingo. Does increasing the telemetry rate in ExpressLRS increase link latency? No, it does not. The way ExpressLRS works is you have your control packets, and then you have a ratio. Say hypothetically, say the ratio is 1/16 or 1/64, and what that means is that you'll have 63 control packets and 1 telemetry packet for a 1/64 ratio, or 15 control packets and 1 telemetry packet for a 1/16 ratio. I guess that's a 1/15. I guess it would be 16 control packets and the 17th one is telemetry. But that doesn't increase the latency. The control packets still have the same latency. What it does is it introduces a small amount of jitter. If you have a 1/64 ratio, then every 64 packets there is a 1 packet with double latency. And in that sense, it does increase the latency, but it only increases the latency once every 64 packets. So instead of, let's say you were at 250 hertz packet rate, which I believe is 1/250, I believe that's going to be 4 milliseconds. Yeah, it's 4 milliseconds. So you would have 64 packets of 4 millisecond latency, and the 65th packet is 8 milliseconds. That's what I believe it works. Captain Bry will tell me if I'm wrong. If you don't like that, set your telemetry rate to race. And in ExpressLRS, if you set the telemetry to race, then telemetry only flows when you are disarmed. It doesn't flow when you're armed, but then you won't have telemetry, which you probably want telemetry. Hey, Bri, as long as you're here, is it, if I have the telemetry set to 1/64, is it 64 control and the 65th is telemetry? Or as a computer programmer, it annoys me that you've disrupted the rule of powers of 2. What it should be is that the entire cycle is 64 packets. So it's 63 packets of control and the 64th one is telemetry, but then that's not a 1/64 ratio, so I assume that it's 64 control and the 65th is telemetry, and the math is correct, but then the fact that it's not in a group of a power of 2 hurts me. Oh, it is 1/63! Oh, yes! Computer programming logic powers of 2 with 1 out, but then it's a 1/63 ratio technically, not 1/64. I guess it's 1 out of 64. Huh. It is 1 out of 64. Well, that is 63. No, that's 63 control and 1. That's 1 out of 64.
I'll just say
right.
This was never confusing for me, and I always assumed it was it was the 64th packet was telemetry, because the way it reads, right?
No, because that's how ratios work. Just something about saying 1 to 64 made me think it was 60. Yeah, no. 'Cause 1 to 64 is 1 divided by 64 is the 64th. Yeah, no. I'm just wrong about math. Shocker. Can that be a Blunty? Can that be a bingo? That needs to be a bingo square, Blunty. Bardwell Flub's basic math. I don't know how you want to put it. Yeah, there you go. Will we ever get a review on the HD0 Box Pro? So I've said this before. HD0 Box Pro is basically the same as the V2 goggles, just in a different form factor. I reviewed the HD0 V2 goggles, and I think almost everything you need to know about the Box Pro in terms of functionality and performance is covered in that review. What you don't get is like how they fit on your face and the difference between screen, small micro displays and a big screen. But the thing is, HD0 did not send me one for review, and I have no reason to buy one just to review it, especially as it's not a particularly new product and there's not a particularly high demand. Oh, everybody wants to see the review of the Box Pro. So I feel like that window has been missed. That opportunity is gone. And so I don't think I will ever review them. I'm not going to spend my own money to buy them. I don't want to use them. I don't need them, and there's no real demand for the video to review them. And a lot of what you need to know about the Box Pro is already covered in the HD0 V2 goggle review. So, no. But not because it's a great product. Just don't see myself reviewing it for those reasons.
While you're answering that question, the latest question I just queued up, answer that too.
Will Bardwell review the Hello Radio Sky V12? Maybe. I know Bachgrinder just reviewed it. He really liked it. Again, either if they sent me one, the chances of me reviewing it would go up dramatically. If I have to choose to buy it, it's not even so much about the money. It's just that I have to sit down and I have to order it. And I don't know. That's just a cognitive hurdle that I may not clear. A lot of times these, who the hell is Hello Radio Sky? A lot of times these companies, there's a catch and a reason why they you find out about where the hell is this product even? Is it on AliExpress? Probably on AliExpress, right? Is it supported? That's the first question. Is it supported? So all of these radios are officially supported radios. You should prefer to buy one of these radios over an unsupported radio. These are manufacturer supported, which is better than not supported, right? But it does mean that you're entirely dependent on Hello Radio Sky to release firmware updates, and if they drop the radio or something, you're just boned. I mean, the radio won't stop working, but that'll be a little annoying. So I don't think that's a deal breaker. Where the hell do I buy this damn radio? Hello Sky V12. Is it the Hello Sky or the Hello Radio Sky? Does he have a freaking purchase link here? He doesn't. I mean, even if... oh, here we go. Black Market FPV has them in stock. The impossibility of buying the damn thing is certainly putting a crimp in my excitement about it. V12 CNC Max, $200. Yeah, go ahead, Plenty.
It looks like they've supported the V16 and the V14, and the V12 is being worked on.
But not official
TBD,
support.
it's TBD on release, and there's still an open PR for the radio that I can see.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then is it an official ELRS module? That's the other question.
Captain Bryce says he has one.
Captain Bryce says he has one. That's a good sign. So the first hurdle for me would be support, EdgeTX support, and ExpressLRS support. If it runs a custom build of EdgeTX, like some jumper radios did, that's an immediate no. If it runs an unsupported ExpressLRS target, it's an immediate no for me. It seems like this radio clears those hurdles, or will clear them, so that's fine. And then it would just be a question of price versus performance.
He said yes, it is official ELRS target.
Fantastic. Like, I know there's a lot of people who like this form factor and are interested in something like this. So, hello Radio Sky, send me one. Hey. The other thing is, like, why can't you buy them? Why can't I buy them? I mean,
They're saying Hobby King and Amazon are both places you can buy them, but I'm not sure
Hobby
why.
King. What decade is this? I'm gonna go to Hobby King.
I think it's Hello Radio Sky, right?
Well, what is it?
It's Hello. I mean, all the PRs and stuff say Hello Radio Sky. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, the thing is, if I review this product and then what's the point of the review? No, the point of the review is not to give me affiliate dollars. No. The point of, like, if I was a selfish son of a bitch, then I would say the point of the review is to get me views and ad revenue and then potentially affiliate dollars. But that's not where my head is at. I mean, I like money, sure. The point of the, I feel like I have, an obligation to the viewer. If I show you a product and then you go, that's a great product. What are you going to do with that information? You're going to want to buy the product, right? If I show you the product and say this is a great product and then you can't buy it, well, I kind of just, tease you. And that's not like, okay, then I get the view and you don't get what you wanted from the exchange. So like, if the product is very difficult or impossible to buy, I'm less inclined to review it for that reason. Anyway. But I don't have one. So, it doesn't really matter. Banggood had a good affiliate program once upon a time. Banggood has it for sale. That's nice. Banggood, I would shop at Banggood. I shop at AliExpress, Banggood. If I shopped at Hobby King, I would feel like it was 2016 again. Does AliExpress count as me showing an FPV store? That's a personal choice. You make the call. Certainly, I showed Hello Radio's website. I think that counts. If you've got the bingo square for showing an FPV store.
Yeah, the new delineation that I had decided was if an FPV store is a specifically FPV store. AliExpress and Banggood are not FPV stores; they're Chinese stores, which I have specifically separated.
But
just so
Hello. Oh, I showed
maybe
Black
different
Market
cards.
FPV though. That's a FPV store for sure. Good point, Yorkie.
Yeah.
You once tested OpenIPC and Ruby FPV, and you said that DIY hard. I didn't say that DIY hardware works better. What happens is every time I show OpenIPC or Ruby FPV on my channel, other people come out of the woodwork to say that DIY hardware works better. Do you know which DIY hardware I need to buy? No. Nope. And even if I did, the current state of the art would have changed. What you need to do is you need to go join the Open IPC Telegram groups and find out on those. That to me is the source of the most up-to-date information. And say, I want to build the best possible DIY ground station. What should I buy? And you'll find it there. Is it possible to make the SG button 2 position on the GX12 radio? Software-wise, this function is in the menu, but it doesn't change anything. Okay, hang on. Pause. SG is a momentary switch, right? That's what you're asking about. In the hardware screen, you can change the radio's belief about what type of switch it has. But that is supposed to be done by also changing the switch. If you were to remove the momentary switch and replace it with a 2-position switch, then you would go into the hardware screen and you would tell the radio that that was a 2-position switch. Simply changing the hardware screen from momentary to 2-position does not actually, great, it's a 2-position switch. When you press the momentary switch and release it, the radio now just thinks that you flipped it and unflipped it. That's not what you need to do. What you need to do is use logical switches to change the programming. Okay? Don't change the hardware screen. The hardware screen should always reflect the reality of the hardware that you have on the radio. So go and put that back the way it was. You need this video. Your trim switches are useless. Let's fix that. Or maybe this one. It's finally okay to use your trim switches. Oh, you know what? This is a cool video, but I think this one's better. It's finally okay to use your trim switches. Yes, that's the one you want. It's finally okay to use your trim switches. What that will teach you how to do is turn a momentary switch into a toggle. Right? Let me look. What are we doing with the trim switches in this video?
Position. The second line will become active when switching. Look down here.
Oh, no. That's the wrong video. I'm sorry. I have to remind myself. In this video, I'm making the trims apply only in angle mode. That's completely unrelated. Disregard this video. You want this one. I was right the first time.
If you've got a
well, that's not quite right either, though. This isn't quite right either. This lets you turn your momentary switch into a rotary toggle. Honestly, it's not that hard. Hang on. Honestly, it's not that hard. Where's my video? Let's do it on the... Look, here's what you do. I'm just going to show you. It's super easy. Barely an inconvenience. I was taking headshots, so I don't have my overhead camera. Sorry. I would just show you on my overhead cam, but I can't. So, anyway, we're going to go to... I'll show you on the camera, though. I will show you. Logical switches. Function is going to be sticky. And V1 is going to be, where's a momentary? SA up, SH. V2 is SH. SH. That's it. That's all you do. So look. You set up a logical switch. You set up a sticky switch. And you set V1 and V2 to the logical switch. Now watch what happens. Look up here at the upper, right here. Look at LO1. I pull the switch one time, it becomes active. I pull the switch again, it becomes inactive. Pull the switch, I'm just toggling the switch. Do you see that I've created a toggle, and each time I pull the momentary switch, the toggle becomes true, or toggles. Okay? So that's how you create a toggle out of a momentary. Logical switch, function sticky, V1 and V2 are both the switch when you pull the switch. So then, you would then create a mixer line that depends on LO1 instead of depending on the switch. And then, boom, now you have a toggle. Okay, that's how you do it. I don't know if it seems like I would have a video. Maybe that is just such a, such a limited thing. I didn't make a video about it yet. I don't know. It seems like I would have made that video once upon a time. RC Aviators. Which is the best pit switch that can be connected to a UART? I'm not aware of any pit switch that can be connected to a UART. All of the pit switches that I know would be connected to a GPIO pin, and you would use pin IO to make the pin go high or low, but not be connected to a UART or interface with a UART. There are some pit switches that will take a PWM signal as input, but that's it. It's either a PWM signal or just a high-low signal. That's it. Oh my gosh. Which two antennas does the DBR4 use on X crossband mode? What I would do, gosh, I suppose if you really wanted to test that,
I'm trying to figure out if even, like, what situation is this? Because doesn't crossband mean that you're going to use all four antennas?
well, so Gemini is going to use two antennas. So if you're, the thing about the DBR4 is that it is a separate 900 meg and 2.4 gig. It has 4 radios. So if you were doing Gemini 2.4 gig, you'd use the two 2.4 gig radios. If you were doing Gemini 900, you'd use the two low band radios. If
But
you're doing crossband, you're going to use one 2.4 and one 900 radio. I think is the issue. You're not going to use all 4 at once. Gemini is 2 radios. The question is which 2 antennas?
Bryce says he can't remember.
What I would probably do, like, do you have 4 RSSI telemetry sensors with that receiver? So normally you've got RSSI 1 and RSSI 2. And that is, I think it's the 2 antennas. I'm not actually even sure about that. What I would do is I would use the RSSI to try to figure out which antenna was active by holding the transmitter next to one antenna versus the other or something like that. But I don't know. And Captain Bry doesn't know either, so there you go. Good luck. goodness.
Oh, the antennas are labeled 1 and 2. Could we maybe
Yeah,
guess that 1
Could
will
you?
be the...
I mean, you could guess that 1 and 1 are both used, and 2 and 2 are both used. That would make a lot of sense.
That's where I would start anyway.
Yeah. Okay. FSB 9707. I'm going to answer your question. You've been trying to get this question answered all stream, and people have said to you, if you really want Bardwell to answer your question right now, leave a super chat. And now you're asking, can I pay or donate with cryptocurrency for this question? I don't know. Is it possible to leave a super chat with crypto? I don't know.
He can't super chat because he's in a country that bans super chat. And he said the VPN won't let him use his payment method.
Oh, that sucks. That sucks. Okay, I'm going to answer your question. I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm going to say, yes, it is possible. Can you build it? Can Bardwell build it with a lot of work?
Here's the question, Blunty.
This is one of those engineering issues, right? Yeah.
Here's the question. How would we approach this? How much thrust would you need to go 300 miles an hour? Right? And how fast would a 2-inch prop have to be spinning to make that much thrust? That's how I would approach this problem. Because
Unreality says not with current technology, but I don't agree with that.
The RPM of the prop is limited by the speed of sound. And so, how much thrust can a 2-inch prop make? What's the maximum amount of thrust realistically that a 2-inch prop can make? I'm not sure how you would even get that. I'm not sure how.
Like I was saying, it's an engineering issue.
Yeah. Well, you know how we approach engineering issues, right?
Hey, we've moved forward in the world. You're now opening Claude instead of Gemini.
I feel like for engineering questions, Claude is better. And we're using Opus 4.8. This is a static thrust power required. That's 250 to 500 watts feels sensible as a peak. Yeah. Real world 2-inch props produce roughly 100 to 150 grams each. Yeah, but I'm looking for an upper bound. 200 to 400 grams of thrust.
The upper bound is going to be dependent on pitch, though, right?
Absolutely.
And shape.
And by the way, Claude says that for a typical 2-inch prop. Okay. Again, I feel like here's what I think is going to happen. Claude is going to give us some kind of an upper bound on thrust, and then that thrust, even if we assume that it's kind of shoot from the hip, it's going to be so small that there's no way you could possibly get to 300 miles an hour. Yep. What are we coming up with? 77.3 kilos of thrust? Holy shit. From a 2-inch prop? No. Ducted. Oh, ducted. We're not going to... can we duct it? Multi-blade open. Let's say... if a single prop can give you 5 kilos... That That's wild. I mean, typical 5-inch prop in the real world, a typical 5-inch prop on a drone gives 1 to 1.3 kilos of thrust. I guess, like, okay. I think if you could actually get 5 kilos from a 2-inch prop, I think you could approach 300 miles an hour. Here's a question. A top speed drone like, what's Chris Rosser's? The AOS HS5. Based on thrust to weight, prop size, etc., extrapolate down to a 2-inch drone. What max speed would it have? By the way, I'm fully aware that this is like largely bullshit. Sometimes I think you ask AI and it gets you thinking a direction, or it shows you, like, you know, how far can you go. 160 miles an hour. Yes, please. So, yeah, and that sort of makes sense. Like, 5-inch drones are topping out at like 300 to 400 miles an hour right now. So, like, going down to a 2-inch drone is going to significantly reduce your thrust. It'll also reduce your drag. It's going to significantly reduce your battery size. That doesn't seem right. All of weight for a 2-inch drone, 64 grams. That's not insane. Yep. Yeah, okay. So you get there's too many assumptions and the math is all very wobbly, but even with AI's wobbly math, it predicts a top speed of only 175 miles an hour at most, which suggests to me that unless AI has dramatically underestimated something, it's not going to hit 300 miles an hour. Also, if actual 5-inch drones and 7-inch drones are topping out around 300 or 400 miles an hour, you go down to a 2-inch prop, there's no way it's going to also hit 300 miles an hour. So I don't think so.
I don't agree with that at all, though. That's what they're topping at now. If we had said this 3 years ago, we would have been in there topping out at 200, right? If we said this 10 years ago, they're topping out at 100, right? Like that. Well, like, we're not talking about theoretical. We're talking about what's been built. That's the problem.
He asked, could you possibly build a 300 mile an hour quad under 2 inches? I mean, to say it's some. If you said that, I mean, I feel like that implies the present.
But okay, so here's what I'm asking: if somebody asked that about 5-inch quads 3 years ago, your answer would have been no.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
Of course, and I would have been right. I would have been right because at that time it wasn't possible.
Okay, the way I read this is: could you, with engineering, math, and work, build something to go this speed right now with the current technology? And my answer is probably yes, or at least I think it is more possible than people think it is in chat. That would be my suggestion.
So the current world record, thank you, Sunshine, Luke Maximo Bell, and by the way, that world record keeps being beaten, so, like, is it current or was it current last week? The current world record is 363 miles an hour. Luke Bell reclaimed the record. And that is that a 5-inch? Or is this, yeah. I think it's a 5-inch. I'm not sure, though. It's not a 2-inch. Just the sheer amount of battery you have to carry, etc. If the current world record just barely beats 300 miles an hour, you take everything down to a 2-inch drone, and I just feel like you're hitting a hard limit where 300 miles an hour isn't going to happen. So, I think that like you could always say, well, with enough engineering, maybe it could be done. But I think under realistic assumptions, I think the answer to this question is no. Could you possibly build it? Probably not. Is it absolutely impossible under any conditions? Maybe not. So, anyway. All right, enough. And AI used on stream. Don't think I didn't know I was going to tick that box. We got a question about goggles. I did give myself that. How about this? Fastest 2-inch drone. What is the current? Is anybody doing speed records on 2-inch drones? Speed test 2-inch drone. How long ago was this? 3 months ago. 130 kph. Now, this guy is not breaking a speed record, right? This could be further optimized. But, like, for example, does this have an aerodynamic canopy? But, like, we could set a floor at if this was 250 miles an hour, you'd be like, oh, well, we could probably get to 300 with a little work. 130 kph is very, very far from 300 miles an hour. Like, before people started doing speed records, it was easy to go 100, 150 miles an hour with a 5-inch drone. Relatively easy. Phantom FPV went 160 miles an hour on 6S with just by putting 2700 kV motors on it and finding an ESC that wouldn't shit the bed. You know, there was no aerodynamics and he went 160 miles an hour. So, you know, in 2019, just by, you know, brute forcing the problem, a drone went 160 miles an hour. We have since engineered the shit out of them, and we've doubled that to roughly 300. Well, a little more than 300. 360, maybe 400. So, like, let's do this. 160 out of 400 is 0.4. That 400 divided by 160, 2.5. So we 2.5x'd the brute force with engineering. So if the brute force is 130 kph, and again, this is just trying to put some rough engineering constraints on the problem to kind of like scope the problem. This is not a hard thing, but 130 kph, 130 times 2.5, 325. 325 kph to mph, 200 miles an hour. Based on that, I would say maybe you could get a 2-inch drone to 200 miles an hour with good engineering. But again, that feels like 300 is maybe a bridge too far. All right. I think this discussion, here's the thing. I feel like what I wanted to get out of this discussion was how do you take an engineering question, because this is fundamentally an engineering question. How do you take an engineering question and think about it? Like, if I was Chris Rosser, I would start pulling out clever math formulas to figure out how much thrust you would need, what the energy density of a battery is. Chris Rosser could provide you with a hard engineering answer to this question, or at least the beginnings of an answer. I can't do that. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an engineer, period. But you can still start to like scope the problem and think about the problem. And you say, well, you know, and that doesn't mean you end up right. Like sometimes there's gotchas, a lot of times there's gotchas. But like I still think it's a useful thought exercise to say, okay, well, if 5-inch drones in 5 years went from 160 miles an hour to 350 miles an hour, what would we get if we extrapolate that to 2-inch drones? You know, and you could start scoping the problem and thinking about the constraints on the problem, right? Anyway. Cool. Question about radios. I feel like we had a question about radios. The Hello Sky was a question about radios. Did Blunty, would you say that you got passionate as you were like, I feel like you got a little passionate when we were arguing about what it means, like, could you do this? I'm going to give myself that one. A little passionate. I'm not going to give myself Blunty as wrong, though. I feel like if I did, you might get even more passionate. Question about Express LRS. We had the question about the DBR4 receiver. That was an Express LRS question. Hell yeah. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. You did maintain your composure and did not interrupt me. Bardwell travel story? Does me talking about the heavy lift challenge, does that count as a travel story? I mean, I told you that I was going to be traveling. I don't think that counts. That's not really a travel story. When I get back from the heavy lift challenge and talk about it, that will be a travel story. I'm getting there. I still a good long way from a bingo, though. We got a couple super chats here. Let's get them. Chicken parm or Reuben sandwich? Dan and FPV. Chicken parm sandwich or Reuben sandwich? That's a tough one. If you ask me whether I would rather have a plate of chicken parmesan or a Reuben sandwich, oh, chicken parm, but it's close. It's real close. Especially because the plate of chicken parm probably is going to come with a side of pasta. Even if it didn't, though, I feel like a gooey, cheesy cutlet with marinara, nicely crispy fried. I think that's going to beat a Reuben sandwich for me. Let me show you something. This is a Reuben sandwich from a local place here in Knoxville. If you're curious, it's Potchkey Deli for anybody who's local to the area. And I was thinking about this because they have a satellite restaurant that only serves bagel sandwiches. It doesn't have the full menu. I went there yesterday. I got to go back to this fucking place. I got to go back. Why? Look at that sandwich. Holy crap. Okay, hang on. Here is their, this is a salmon. This is like a Nova Lox bagel. Salmon, cucumber, cream cheese, red onion, tomato. Very good. And this right here is their matzo ball soup. But I've had matzo ball soup. I had matzo ball soup at a deli in New York City. So like, it's right. And it was a very simple clear broth with the matzo ball. It was very good. It wasn't complicated. It was hard. It was filling. It was hearty. It was nourishing. It didn't have like very complicated flavors though. It was a simple chicken broth, as it was meant to be. These guys, you have the option to add like it's cilantro, it's chili oil. Holy shit! So good. So good. So good. But this Reuben, that Reuben I would take over a chicken parm. So good. Anyway. Yeah, I got one more picture of food from Potchkey. I believe this is the open face Nova Lox. And then over here on the left, I don't even know what this is. There's some kind of bagel sandwich. Such a good place. Love it. Anyway. Matzo ball. Matzo, not mozzarella. Matzo ball soup. Who doesn't know what matzo ball soup is? Who doesn't know what that is? Really? Maybe it's just me. No, matzo ball soup is very popular. Well, in some areas it is. Maybe it's just my upbringing. Matzo ball soup.
I've never seen anyone order it or been in a restaurant where I've seen it exist, but I've heard of it. That's what I'll say.
Well, it's like you get it like a Jewish deli. It's a Jewish food. It's a Eastern European food. There you go. What can I say? I think the matzo balls are made from you make the crackers. What's the unleavened crackers? What are they called? Frickin' matzah? It's matzah, isn't it? Yeah, the unleavened crackers that they make, the bread, it's matzah. Then they take the flour, they make the matzah, and then they crush up the matzah, and they make the matzah balls out of it. So they basically, it's twice cooked flour. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it's a Jewish thing. What's new in ELRS 4.1 that JB asked for? Oh. I know what it is, Bri. I heard about this last week. It's the ability to change the bind phrase from the Lewis script. Oh my god, I'm so happy about this. Thank you for prompting me. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you for $5. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Where's Express LRS 4.1? Express LRS 4.1 is like the first time I've thought you have to move to Express LRS 4.0 if you're still on 3.x. Like, that is the feature. Like, there's a lot of good stuff in 4.0, but I could imagine people being like, yeah, I'll take it or leave it. But that, set the bind phrase from the handset. Ah! Yeah! So good. Set the bind phrase from the handset. Oh, so good. This is so powerful. I mean, this is going to save so many people from going to the web UI. So good. Thank you. Thank you, Bri. Delete bind phrase history now, please, says Skydozer. Yeah, is there a delete bind phrase history button? Because some people would not like their bind phrase to be stored on the radio. Oh, yeah, so good. I will definitely be making a video about that. Luca Pivic. Thank you for 10 euros. I was thinking to switch from DJI VTX to analog to reduce the repair cost. Would you recommend it? Yeah, it's going to be cheaper, for sure. Should I start with a bundle or just buy more advanced gear to get used? That's a personal question. I could go either way on that. But absolutely switching from DJI to analog to reduce the repair cost, 100% do it. I mean, if your goal is, I'm not advocating for abandoning DJI, but like, if you're like, hey, I want to save money and I'm thinking of switching to analog, yeah, that will save you money. Sure. 100%. Oh, Captain Bry. I assumed that if you change the bind phrase on the TX, you have to rebind the RX. Are you telling me if I change the bind phrase while they're currently bound, it'll push the new bind phrase to the RX? Because that's also hot. I assumed you would have to rebind it. Dan Berserk, thank you for $10. I want to have my quad's PIDs super tight. Can I map the master multiplier to a switch? No. Yes. No. No, you can't. Sorry, I had to get there. You can use in-flight adjustments to turn the master multiplier up and down, but the idea that you flip a switch and you change PIDs from like 1 to 2 to 3, that you can't do. You can put the master multiplier on a switch that when you flip the switch, the master multiplier goes. You can do that with in-flight adjustments. I'm not sure that. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think you should. Yeah, you cannot change the PID profile on a switch. You can change the rate profile on a switch. Betaflight will not change the PID profile while you are armed. If that has changed, that's cool. That has been true forever. You can change the PID profile while you're disarmed using the OSD menu. Yes, you can. But he wants to be able to do it while flying. Right? No? If you want the way to do what you're asking for would be to have different PID profiles, one of them with a reduced master multiplier. After you crash, you go into the OSD using stick commands, and then you change the PID profile from the OSD, from the menu, from the on-screen menu. Or you can also change PID profiles using this stick command. Okay? However, you cannot do it with a switch, and you cannot do it while you're armed. You would have to disarm and then make the change. And you cannot do it with in-flight adjustments.
Yeah, you can change individual settings with an in-flight adjustment, like you mentioned, but you can't change the entire PID profile with an in-flight adjustment.
And the other thing, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Blunty, you can change the individual settings. Basically, when I pull this switch, the setting is nudged up or down. You can't just jump to a specific value, I don't think.
Yeah, it's like a rotary switch or whatever, right? Like it's a scale based on the switch position?
It scales.
Oh, no.
No. I don't believe so. It is simply, like, a long time ago, I had the idea for a feature where you would set endpoints for the value, and then based on a channel position, you could move the, like, so you would set the master multiplier. You would set the minimum as 0.5 and the maximum is 1.5. And then based on a knob's position, it would scale that between those two values. I don't think that they ever implemented that. The way that in-flight adjustments have classically worked is when you hit the switch, the value is nudged up by a small amount or down by a small amount. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, it's not clear from the way it's written in the adjustments tab.
It's been a long time since I played with in-flight adjustments. Yeah, the problem is that if you want to map the value to a knob's position, you also have to be able to configure the endpoints so that, like, because you wouldn't want the knob all the way to the left to be 0 rates and now your drone won't fly. You wouldn't want the knob all the way to the left to be 0 PIDs and now your drone can't fly. So if you're gonna do, and so I don't think that ever got implemented. I don't know if I ever actually suggested it. I might have just complained about it once. Crom says, do you know if EdgeTX can run a script on model change so we can do per model bind phrase? I don't. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if EdgeTX had like a startup script that you could run, but I'm not aware of that. Wouldn't changing the rate profile change what they're trying to do? No, they're trying to change PIDs, not rates. What he's saying about Snappy is that he's got his PIDs all cranked up so that as soon as he breaks a prop, it smokes his motor. And he wants to be able to reduce the PIDs. Spain or Argentina? Dream place to go fly FPV. Thank you for $5. Spain or Argentina? I don't know if I'm qualified to make that call. If you were to just ask me, like, I would love to visit either of those countries. I think they both have a lot to offer. If you were to ask me right this minute, which country would I go to fly in? It would be Spain, because two of my old friends from when I was in my younger days recently moved to Spain. And it would be so cool to go visit them. I also recently saw a spectacular Spanish card magician on Penn and Teller. And in the comments of the Reddit post, people said that the best card magicians are from Spain. Which I was like, oh. I suspect that Argentina would also be amazing were I to go there. Crom says Spain has amazing bandos. Captain Bryce says EdgeTX does not have a built-in way to run a script on model load, which might be a nice thing to add. Like, it's always nice when operating systems have little hooks that you wish they would have. So, like, I guess you would need to have the script per model. Maybe it would be in the model settings. You could designate a particular script to run on model load. Or maybe they could just be a predefined name for a script that runs every time a model loads. But currently, Captain Bryce says perhaps you could run a background script that just continuously checks the model. And when the model changes, it does whatever you want it to do. I mean, as long as you're writing Lua scripts, you probably are not afraid of a little coding. Hey, guess what?
Did you see that video that was linked in chat by UAV Tech?
I might have. Hold on. Not bad. All right. I feel like I could vibe code this. Oh. Scripts run.
This is the comedy segment.
Yeah. Calling a Lua directly from post model load, which risks blocking the mixer. I would never do that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I could probably vibe code this. Bardwell annoys Blinty. Hey, wait a minute. Okay, now it's working. Yeah. Oh, no bingo yet. Sorry. You're talking about this in-flight slider adjustments.
All right,
video,
today we're going
Blinty,
to play
right?
around with something that I...
Yes.
Tell me why is... I saw that and I discounted it as not adding anything new to the conversation. Now tell me if you disagree. Or you probably wouldn't have
Well,
brought
it
it up.
lets you adjust the actual PID sliders instead of a PID value.
Yeah, but it's I know, but it's the same thing. You can adjust the sliders with quick tuning, but you can still only nudge them by pulling the switch. So it would just be the master multiplier. You'd hit the switch, and as long as you held the switch, the master multiplier would go.
No, well, no. On this, you flip a switch and then move a pot. So like and then your pot is your setting on the slider.
Oh, okay, that's new. Hold on. Well, that's
So
new.
sliders
That's new.
are great, and you can see our PID gains down there, but wouldn't it be great if we could put those sliders on a in-flight command, like a pot?
Do it.
So let's check that out. So here we got, if I flip this switch here, I can use this pot right here to adjust those PID gains. So over here like this, and engage that. And now when I move that slider down, I can adjust those gains, and it's a lifetime update.
That's better. Got it. That's good. That's better. I saw that video. I didn't realize what was in it. Thank you. I'm going to put that in the chat here so that who was asking that question? Damned Berserk. So Damned Berserk, this gets you close to what you're asking for. You can manually turn the knob down, and it takes effect in real time while you're flying. Awesome. The Harshal wants to know if I played around with the waypoint planner in Betaflight. Yes, but it's so preliminary, it's not even a feature. It barely exists. So there's nothing to play around with. It doesn't really work. It doesn't do anything. It's just for you to play around with and like start to it's kind of like barely even a proof of concept. I'm a little confused that they released it to the public because it doesn't do anything, and people think that it does stuff that it doesn't do. And I'm not sure what value they're getting from releasing something that doesn't do anything to the public. There's like nothing to test, but I'm sure they have a good reason for doing it. Andy Sachs, thank you for £2. I have Easy Acro on Betaflight. I don't know what that is. Oh my God, we have 21 questions and only 5 minutes left in the stream. AK Gadget wants to know if I've heard about redundant ground for analog systems. Redundant grounds help sometimes, but they introduce ground loops other times. So it is not a given that redundant grounds will make your video cleaner. If you have messy video and you want to try adding redundant grounds, see if that helps, but it will not always help. That's the short version. Is the Radiomaster Boxer Crush worth buying over the regular Radiomaster Boxer? It's your money. The Crush has upgraded stuff. It's your money whether you want to buy it or not, and whether it's worth your money. That's always a question. But it has definitive advantages over the regular Boxer. What's the first step after making sure the drone is mechanically sound to tuning filters? Check out my full PID Toolbox tuning guide with Brian White. It's a 2-hour-long video. You know, God bless. The short answer is move the filter sliders to the right until you get hot motors or flyaways, and then move them back to the left a little bit. I mean, you want a short answer, that's it. Excuse me. I got the iFlight Nazgul Eco and I got 5 batteries for it. Is that enough? Yeah, that's enough. Like 5 batteries, I feel like by the time I flew the 5th battery, I could probably have my other batteries charged. Unless you're just like ripping them one after the other. 5 is probably enough for like a typical person to get started. Just. Should I get remote ID? Most people wouldn't. You'll be breaking the rules. I don't know, Blunty, how would you answer that question?
It's
you're
not
good
that
on.
expensive and you're 15. Just buy the fucking remote ID. I don't think it's that hard of a decision, especially if your parents want you to comply. They're gonna buy it for you. Just order the remote ID, put it on the top, and you're done. It's not that hard.
See, so I'm glad you're here. Drone rules discussion. Still haven't got bingo though. Yeah. Okay. I don't disagree. Yeah. I have a new Mobula 8 that keeps losing connection to the Boxer remote. Other drones connect fine. It won't go into Wi-Fi mode now. It won't go into. Did it ever go into Wi-Fi mode? SPI receivers won't go into Wi-Fi mode. I don't know if that one is specifically an SPI receiver, but that would explain why it won't go into Wi-Fi mode. Sounds like you have a hardware problem though. Like if you can get the receiver to flash, I might try flashing firmware and updating the firmware. It's not a bad idea. But like if I have an all-in-one flight controller with a built-in expressless receiver and I keep losing connection, I'm gonna guess that it's like a busted antenna or something, you know?
You said it did go into Wi-Fi mode before. Well, that would mean the receiver's bricked, and that's your problem. If you tried to flash it.
Yeah, try to flash it, but other than that.
But just to be clear, if you are confused and it didn't go into Wi-Fi mode and it's SPI, you'll be able to tell because if you go into beta flight in the top left corner when you're connected, the target will end in SX1280. Then that SPI receiver, there was an issue for a while with SPI receivers with VTX admin on your radio. Make sure you've disabled VTX admin, and then that could be a reason. I just want to make sure that's stated.
Here's a question from Gandalf that relates to the question originally about the master multiplier and the knobs, which is, could I put my master multiplier on the 1 to 6 model buttons? Yes. If you could put the master multiplier on a knob, you could absolutely put it on those buttons. Absolutely. Because those buttons could be configured to just act like a knob. Yeah, that might be better than turning a knob. It might just push the button, you 1, 2, 3, and turn your PIDs up and down. Very cool. That's a cool idea, Gandalf. I heard that Foxeer cameras only allow cam control on their own hardware. That is not true. I have a pile of generic joysticks, and I use them on all cameras. I haven't had any issues. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but like generally speaking, I've used Foxeer, I've used Cadex. It doesn't seem to matter. They do have slightly different resistor values. I have run into a situation where like the left, maybe I have run into a situation where like up and down worked, but left and right didn't. Maybe that's what you're talking about. I don't know. I cannot confirm that it's true, but it might be. I don't think it's like all Foxeer cameras though. I don't know. I do remember a time when my joystick didn't work on some camera.
Can you just define those in the CLI? Like if that exists, then you should be able to find them in the CLI. That's my memory of how this works.
Oh, I see. He's not asking about the joysticks. Yeah, if you're using Betaflight, then you can define the resistor values in software, and whatever the correct ones are, any flight controller can do it. To be fair, I haven't played with camera control very much since it came out, so maybe there's been some development where the hardware prevents it, but I think you should be able to define that stuff in the CLI. Can we override the RC control commands sent to Betaflight for taking control by external computer at time of failsafe? The way that I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. The way that is usually done is you run the RC command through the external computer. And so the flight controller is always running off the external computer, and then during failsafe the external computer just takes over. So Betaflight the Betaflight is receiving a crossfire input from the external computer, which is connected to the receiver. That's how that's usually done. I've been struggling to find O3s, so I have a Cadex Vista with a Goggles V2 and a G2 sitting in the corner. the G2 will pair with the Vista. However, I have heard people say that there's a small reduction in range when you do that. That the Vista goes to a slightly lower output power, and I do think there may be some truth to that. So, all right.
Also, just to be clear, you have to update the Vista to 1.01.
You have to update the firmware on the
with
Vista.
G2.
That's right. Sorry.
So it only works with one at a time.
Yeah, you can't go back and forth. Correct. All right. Well, no bingo for me. No bingo for anybody. Nobody got bingo.
I think we had one way early, but
we did have a bingo early and I missed it. Really?
yeah.
Where? I don't like that. I don't like that I missed it. I'm gonna go to Potchkey tonight and get soup. This wasn't a question. No, this wasn't a bingo. He had 4 out of 5 30 minutes in. No?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's so close. I guess some days you just don't get it. You know? That's life. We'll have to come back for the next live stream and see if anybody gets a bingo. I'll be back tomorrow night. And maybe I'll have some more information about the heavy lift challenge. In the meantime, have a great stream, Siadi. Does the dude know you can use the 04 with the G2? That's a good point. If you can't get the 03, you can use the 04 with your G2. Yeah, good point. Bye, everybody. Have a great stream, Siadi.